Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm out here on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and today I want to do something a little different. I wanted to create a video that helps out the very beginners in carnivorous plant collecting. Now, many of you may or may not know that I have a Facebook group called Carnivorous Plant Help for Beginners that is focused on sort of a crowdsourcing opportunity for people to learn from other growers on how to grow carnivorous plants. In today's video, I want to highlight some of those questions that I see often that get asked by new growers. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, depending on the carnivorous plant you're growing, you're going to have different care needs for them. And so we'll start off with the ones that you see right in front of you, which are Venus flytraps. Now, you would be surprised though, the amount of care that they need aren't all that different. And so I'm going to be focusing on the Venus flytraps here in front of you, but I'm going to be talking about all different types of carnivorous plants. So the one that a lot of people start growing first are Venus flytraps. Venus flytraps are going to want a soil that is inert. And so you can use what's called sphagnum moss, which is, and you can do either 100% sphagnum moss, or what I like to do is a 50-50 perlite and sphagnum moss. But you can also use what I have in front of me here, which is peat moss. And peat moss is simply sphagnum moss that has been broken down through millions, if not thousands of years to this sort of dirt soil material, but is completely inert, which means it has no nutrients in the soil. Now, perlite is a sort of a type of stone, and it is also inert. And you want to usually do a 50-50 no matter what you're growing. And the reason for that is that the perlite helps breathability for the roots. Just like any other plants, carnivorous plants like to have their roots be able to breathe. And so adding those in will help that. The thing about peat moss and sphagnum moss is it will continue to break down. And as it does that, it will compress onto the roots and not allow for good airflow, and which can lead to what's called anaerobic conditions, which means there's no airflow happening to the roots, and so everything starts to rot and your roots will die. Now, for the most part, those two types of soil substrates are going to be what you're going to want to use. If you're having Nepenthes or pitcher plants, you're going to want to use the sphagnum moss, long fiber sphagnum moss, and a perlite 50-50, and that will do just fine. Now let's talk about water. Water is going to be the same no matter what plant you're growing. Now, there are certain carnivorous plants that can handle different types of water, but for the most part, they're all going to want the same, either reverse osmosis, rainwater, or distilled water. You're going to want to stay away from spring water or any sort of those kind of waters because they're going to have nutrients. You're going to hear a common theme as we go through here, and that is carnivorous plants don't want nutrients added to their soils or added to them. They get their nutrients through insect eating. A long time ago, they've decided that they were growing in nutrient poor areas, and so they would create the way to get their own nutrients, and that's what they do, and that is why they're carnivorous. And so you're going to want a water that is nutrient poor. Now, you can get yourself a TDS meter and check their parts per million, and usually you want that to be very low. Now, depending on the variety you're growing, you can use some ppms that are over 100, but for the most part, you're going to want to stick to ppms less than 50. Now, if you're growing Venus flytraps, you're going to want even lower than that, as they are particularly susceptible to a ppm. Tap water can be used if your area has ppms less than 50, but for the most part, you're going to want to use reverse osmosis, rainwater, or distilled water. Now, light is where things get a little tricky. Light is going to be different depending on the plant that you're growing. For the most part, though, if you're growing what's called a temperate plant, so a plant like a Sarracenia, a Venus flytrap, Sundews, they're going to want very bright light. This is certainly not the case for all of them, but for the most part, that is going to be the case. And so you're going to want to put them in a south-facing area of your yard, or if you're growing them indoors, get them very, very bright lights with grow lights. And they're going to want between 12 hours at the minimum to 18 hours of full sun. Now, with these Venus flytraps in front of you, even if they look tropical, they're still going to want all that light. Now, there are some variants, and so what I recommend for anything, but particular carnivorous plants, is depending on the one you're growing, either use resources like this channel or the internet or the Plant Help for Beginners on Facebook to look at what you're going to need in order to provide them the right amount of light. And when it comes to light, you're going to want to look for what's called PPFD. PPFD stands for something that's pretty convoluted, but the whole point is this: that it measures the amount of light that is actually being absorbed by the plants, and that is very important. So it's not necessarily the lumens or how bright the light is, it's how much of that light is going to be actively absorbed by the plant. Now let's talk about airflow. Depending on the plant, you're going to want airflow, but here's a good rule of thumb. Airflow is good for plants no matter what you're growing. Certainly there's some varieties like Sundews that don't need a whole lot, but for the most part they're not going to hate you if they get it. They want that airflow. And so think about that when you're putting together your environment for them. If it's indoors, think about a fan. If it's outdoors, think about an area in the open yard that's going to get plenty of airflow. Airflow is very important for a lot of reasons, but the key factors are it keeps mold at bay, and that is what you want. Mold is a plant's enemy no matter what type of plant you're growing, carnivorous or non-carnivorous. So try to keep the airflow going. Now let's take a little look back at water. How much water should they have? Now, if you're growing anything else besides pitcher plants, for the most part, they are going to be wanting to sit in water at all times. They don't have to be flooded though. They just want a little bit of water to keep their soil nice and moist. The soil doesn't need to be sopping wet, and that's also important if you remember back to the peat perlite mix for airflow through the roots. And so the more water, the more breakdown there is of the soil, and the thicker it gets around the roots, less airflow. So they don't need a ton of water for the most part. Your Venus flytraps, your Sundews, your Sarracenia, they need just to be sitting in water. And you want to make sure their soil stays wet at all times. This is important for the health of the plant. Now, there are a few caveats to this and a few exceptions, one of them being pitcher plants. You do not want them sitting in water, as their roots will rot. Now, I know some people do, but this is more of an experienced grower thing to take on. So for the most part, when it comes to Nepenthes, just make sure that you're keeping their media wet and not sitting in water, and you will do just fine. The main takeaway for all of this is that growing carnivorous plants is extremely easy. There's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of things that make you think that they're extremely hard to grow or that they require some exacting conditions, and that is just not the case. They can handle a wide range of temperatures, and when it comes to temperatures, let me just go ahead and digress and say this: you're going to want to do some research to find out what temperatures your plant can handle. Whether it's tropical or intermediate, they're going to require different levels of care. But for the most part, they're just like any other plant. You give them the things that they want, which are very few, and if you follow this video, you will do just fine, and they will pay dividends for you. I hope this video has helped, and I'm thinking about continuing to build off of this to go to more intermediate things for growers, but this will get you started and get you where you need to go. As always, hope you have a wonderful day. Happy growing. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.